there as well. But so I like to me,
Tennessee and Bowling Green play.
Is that tonight?
I think it is.
To me, I think seeing the toys and all these weapons at Jimbo's disposal is what I'm most excited about seeing, because while Kent State, and you wrote a very nice article, by the way, getting ready for this game, but while Kent State is a team that I think the Aggies will have no problems with, they do pose some interesting subplots in the game. But it's the kind of game that I believe you can get enough separation to try things out, try the players that we may not see play much down the road, some real game action.
Maybe. That's what we thought we were going to see last year against Vandy. What I'm really going to be interested to see is just the play of the offensive line. And I know it's Kent State. I know Kent State's not very good defensively, but a few years ago, maybe it was 2, A&M was playing, I want to say it was Texas State or somebody like that. And I remember one time they needed a yard. It took them like 3 plays to get the yard for a touchdown. They weren't able to blow Texas State defensive linemen off the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And you came away thinking, well, if you can't do that to Texas State, how is that going to translate to when you play Auburn and Alabama and LSU and so on? And it was a rough year for that offensive line.
Conversely, though, last year against Vandy, they didn't look good.
They didn't.
And they were able to figure it out pretty quickly after.
What they did against Vandy, though, is they moved the ball, but then they would, Kellen got blindsided after they moved the ball down the field, lost a fumble. He had a zone read that was set up for a touchdown. And did he fumble on that one? I think he did. I think he just dropped it. They moved the ball against Vandy. They did dumb things. Anias tried to return a punt out of the end zone. So they did a lot of things that, just didn't make sense. But they were able to move it. I want to see an offensive line that can be that dominates the opponents are supposed to dominate. That doesn't tell you. I've always said this to Gabe. A game like this will not tell you anything positive about your team.
You'll only see some of the warts, if you will.
Right. If you go out and struggle and do things against Kent State, then you come away with more questions. If you go out, maybe you can get something positive from, say, Haynes, if it looks like that he makes every right read, right? Because you got to make the read no matter
Sure.
who it is. But if you go out and just blow them off the field, you're supposed to.
Yeah, and that's why I think this weekend is so intriguing, that it's the first time that I've ever really wanted to watch an offensive line. And it's not because of the established guys that we know. I mean, sure, I want to see what Kenyon does and, whatever position that they have him starting at tomorrow. But I'm really intrigued by the youngsters, the Wyckoffs, the Fosters, the Fotheries, if they get in, how much they get in, if one of those guys gets to start as potentially expected.
Might.
Yeah, two might. And I never watch the offensive line. And I'm not saying I'm going to, watch it the way John Harris watches the offensive line. But I am interested in seeing what kind of push we get, how much protection Haynes gets, how much time he's allowed to experiment back there. Because when he's got time, great things could happen.
I want to see him run.
Yeah.
And I want to see him at some point just tuck it and just see what that's going to look like. Now, I know, again, it's going to be distorted because he's not going to have the 4-4-4-5 guys chasing him like he will when he gets
No.
But you still want to see how fast he moves.
It's still a step up from high school ball, regardless, right?
All right.
Secondly, it's the was it your column? Somewhere I was reading. No, it wasn't yours. I'm getting confused. But how Jameis had a very similar start to his career against a couple inferior opponents before it really got going, and how much Jimbo allowed him to throw initially. I believe it was 15 passes the first game, 19 the second game. And ramping up to what we saw Jameis do the rest of the way. And I think the A&M schedule plays out to a way where there's 2 or 3 games where Haynes will be challenged, but enough to kind of get his composure, his confidence, and then it's go time.
Oh, I think the schedule couldn't set up any better. You you get what should be an easy game to start, then a little bit more challenging, but a game you'll most likely win at Colorado, and then another game to work on New Mexico, which may not be as good as Kent State, I don't know, but to work on whatever you saw at that good or bad against Colorado. And then, 2 challenging games, but games where you have better opponents. You're better than the opponents, what I'm saying. Challenging, but you're better than them against Arkansas and Mississippi State until you get to the midway point and play Alabama. I don't think the schedule could set up any better than that.
No, and that's, I think you can look at that through 2 lenses, as a team and as a quarterback trying to find his way before it gets real. But from all indications, I've never met Haynes King, but everything that I've read about him and heard Jimbo speaking, it doesn't seem like the moment's going to be too big for him. We'll have to see. But it doesn't. I feel like he's a gamer. Let's go in that Bucky realm, in that Johnny realm. Let's go and get things done.
Yeah, what I really think is going to be interesting, you touched on it, and this is something that I'm going to be really interested to see, is how much or how they use Haynes. Because there's one school of thought, like you just said, hey, let's bring him along slowly and everything. There's another thing that says, hey, we know that in order to win a championship, we're going to have a big play element and a long passing game element to our game. When LSU had Leonard Fournette, again, you'd go play Alabama and he'd get 30 yards and LSU would lose. You're going to have to be able to make some big plays. So I wonder if they're just going to come out and say, hey, let him take, 3 or 4 deep shots in these early games, every game, just to get him ready. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. I don't know what school of thought you approach.
And I think you can do that without putting too much on film, because I know there's a school of thought that says you don't want to let Saban see all your wrinkles and the way you do things and whatnot. I think you can experiment and take what's the word I'm looking for here? Just let them go without putting too much out there. So I want to see how much he freestyles. To me, that is the greatness of a quarterback, is your ability to improvise. What did Johnny do so well? Improvise.
Yeah. Plays off schedule is definitely the thing that
you don't want to play too off schedule, right?
No, I mean you make them when you have to.
Right.
Kind of like, and it's a bad memory, but kind of like Bo Nix did against A&M last year. They had the one where it looks like Bobby Brown's going to sack him, and somehow he gets away and he turns it into a touchdown.
Right.
Nothing frustrates an offense or a defense. I'm sorry, than a playoff schedule. And, of course, we all know that's why Nick Saban was saying 9 years ago, is this really what we want college football to be? And then he had to adapt because, that's what we want.
He adapted and became the best at it.
Yeah, he did.
Hey, guys, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can certainly do that. 979-693-1150 is the BCSI Associates hotline. You can also text the show on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. So it kind of goes along with your column, and we'll get into your column here in a little bit on players to watch. But who are you most excited to see play Saturday? And I know we're all excited to see Haynes King. Like, we want to see, what is our quarterback? It's like moving into a new. You can't wait to get into that new house. I get it, but let's go beyond that. What else? Is it Caleb Chapman? Is it Demas if he actually gets in? Is it how they're going to use all the backfield and the toys that they have with Anias and A-Chain and Isaiah? Is it maybe on the defensive side? You want to see how much DeMarvin Leal has improved. That's secondary, all right? That's secondary that has caught criticism in the past. They have developed, they have matured, and I want to see their partnership with the defensive line. So all those are part of the equation when we break down Saturday's game against Kent State. And let's go around the room and say hello. We only got one person to say hi to. Good morning to you, Dalton.
Oh, good morning. Happy Thursday. Yes, Tennessee is playing Bowling Green tonight. Our guys Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, and Cole Kubelik on the call. So I'm sure some shenanigans will ensue on Rocky Top.
Last weekend, and tell me if you guys feel this way, it felt like college football, but now it really feels like college football. Yeah, we had a couple of nice games to watch.
I mean, in my mind, it's not really game week until Cole Kubelik is downing pork products on the sidelines of some Southeastern Conference stadium. So, I think it'll start tonight.
Yeah, it starts tonight. I'm excited to see that. And I just want to have game things to talk about, OB, like an actual game. Hey, we saw the offensive line do this. I'm worried about that. I'm super intrigued by this. And on Saturday night at, 11:44, I'm calling my fake time, when we unleash the TexAgs postgame wrap here, that we want you, the listeners, the subscribers, to all be a part of that show. We're actually going to have some game film to break down. So, we've released a lot of new content recently. Really excited about it. But, we still got new stuff to go. Saturday night, we're going to do a live show that you can get on TexAgs.com. And I believe we're going to have it on all platforms. Is that correct, Dalton?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He sounds confused. I believe
that was this afternoon's task.
Yeah, we're going to figure that out.
We'll figure out where it'll be this afternoon, and we'll re-rack tomorrow, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, but we're going to have that show, and we want you guys to be a part of it. So the live show will have the live chat component. We'll have the Facebook and the tweets and all that you'll be able to participate on the air, and we'll have some former players popping on. We'll have Liucci for a couple of minutes. That's going to be released on Saturday. Maybe if OB finishes early, he can pop on. I doubt it, because I think that's crunch time for you on Saturday night, but the invitation is always there. And then on Sunday, the Luchador podcast. Very excited about that.
I would be very interested to see that.
It's just going to be our first chance with Luch to really go in depth about the game. Obviously, on Monday he'll be in studio. We'll continue that dialogue, but just immediately giving you some Sunday content. And then just yesterday we released the Up to the Second College Football show, which was on YouTube, also on TexAgs.com. And we got some feedback on it. People like it. People confused why we have certain guests on there. That show is a supplement to TexAgs Radio. It is not a Texas A&M show, although Texas A&M will be headlining that show often, especially with a host who went to A&M and our co-owner, obviously being the top analyst in the country when it comes to breaking down his school. So Billy will be a part of that show often or not often. But that show is more of a complete look at the college football weekend. You'll be on that show too.
Oh, will I?
Of course.
Well, whenever. Just let me know.
I will.
Yeah, I have you booked as old man who yells at cloud in week 5.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I can yell at some clouds.
So when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, OB's players to watch, we'll get into his list there and kind of understand his thinking. Plus, we'll get into your phone calls and your text messages. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
This is Aggieland's home for sports. The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Aggie football is here, and Texas A&M Transportation Services offers parking and shuttle options. Pay $25 cash to park near Bush Library, Bonfire Memorial, or Agronomy Road. Ride the free downtown Bryan shuttle. For pre- and post-game traffic and parking info, or to purchase parking before the game, visit Destination Aggieland within the TAMU app, download the Park Mobile app, or visit transport.tamu.edu/football.
For those parking with an annual permit, be ready to show us your permit barcode printed on paper or on your smartphone screen. Follow us on Twitter at GetToAggieGame.
At United Roofing and Sheet Metal, we've got you covered inside and out.
Need help with your high wind or hail damage claims? Call Larry Winkler and the fine folks at United. United Roofing is your local, professional, family-owned business with over 40 years of service to the Brazos Valley. United is your insurance claims specialist, providing the most comprehensive full-system labor and material warranty in the roofing industry. Call United today at 268-ROOF.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's not every day you can save money. Oh, wait, you can. Hi, Jenny here from Big Deals. When you shop Big Deals, you'll save money every day on dozens of gift certificates from local businesses like these.
Howdy's Pizza, BCS Tire Pros, Cotton and Oak Home and Style, Cilantro Mexican Grill, and more. Visit AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Start your sports day with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Powered by WC Tractor. Weekday mornings 5 to 8 on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Or just tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150. WC Tractor is your local award-winning Kubota and New Holland dealer. Call them with your questions at 1-888-8-TRACTOR. That's 1-888-8-TRACTOR. Check them out online at WCTractor.com. Rise and shine weekday mornings 5 to 8 with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin from ESPN Radio. Powered by WC Tractor here on the Zone.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Rollo Insurance is an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They are the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real, and their headquarters right here in College Station off of Highway 6. Call 888-44-ROLLO or go to rolloinsurance.com. All right, OB, you had a nice little column, I believe, published yesterday. Is that correct?
It was.
Yep.
Yes.
And so let's kind of get into the people that you want to see as we get closer to the game on Saturday. OB's players to watch.
Yeah, well, of course, everybody wants to watch Haynes King. And I think it's going to be really especially interesting on rollouts when you combine that speed he has and then the receivers that he's going to be throwing to. It can really put a lot of pressure on the defense. Not do I stick with a guy who's maybe running me out of the play? I remember last year against South Carolina, really delivered a nice ball on a rollout to Max Wright for a touchdown. But what about those times when he almost has a run pass option if he takes it and tucks it and goes? The opportunity, some big plays on designed runs and off schedule plays. But and then you just want to see his arm, because I do believe that Haynes King is going to be more. I don't know if willing is the right word, but I can't think of a different word right now. So I don't know. I think he's going to be more willing to throw deep maybe than Kellen was.
It's been so long since we've had a different quarterback. It's not often that you get a guy who, with the time and the experience behind center for as long as we had Kellen Mond here. But it is exciting to see a different approach in the same offense, right? How different does the offense look because of the quarterback?
Yeah, absolutely. Just because you're in the same offense doesn't mean it's going to look the same. Me and Luch live in the same neighborhood, but his house is not better than mine, so a lot nicer. So you have I weigh I'm about 6'1", about 200.
Okay.
I would think, say, Leon O'Neal's about 6'1", about 200. Looks a lot different.
You guys do look a little different. Yeah.
So we'll see how different it looks in the same offense with Haynes King.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see him. But beyond him, there's a lot of weapons that we've seen. Like, for instance, the other name you have on there, Isaiah Spiller.
Well,
we've all seen Isaiah, but where is he at now at this point in his career?
Right, and everything we've heard is that he's really been dedicated, which he always has been, but always trying to make his game better, always trying to get stronger, faster, do all the things he can do to improve. Now, I don't know how much room he has to improve because he's so good anyway.
Right.
But in a game like this, I think you're really going to be remiss if you don't focus on him because of two reasons. A, his incredible talent, and B, the fact that Kent State was one of the worst run defenses in the country last year. I'm sure they're better this year. They probably have some guys that didn't play. They brought in some guys, but still, they were one of the worst run defenses in the country. They gave up 409 yards rushing to one guy at Buffalo. Jarrett Patterson last year, 409 yards, 8 touchdowns. I'm not saying Isaiah is going to rush for 409 yards, but I do think you go in there reminding yourself that the A&M single-game rushing record is 297 yards set in 1950.
So what you're saying is there's a chance.
Probably even better than Lloyd Christmas's chance.
Well, the only thing, maybe I'm wrong here, and minimizing Kent State, but the only way I don't see those things happening is because there's such a ginormous lead early on that you don't have to do that. They're still going to run the ball, but maybe it's not Isaiah the whole time.
I agree with that. I mean, I believe that Devon Achane's going to get his touches. I believe L.J. Johnson will get some touches, and even DeAndre Jackson. I think there's a lot of guys that are going to get touches. But let's say Isaiah gets 15 carries. What could that be? I guarantee you he has better guys blocking for him than Jarrett Patterson had last year. So I just think
so. 15 carries. What is that going to come out to?
Well, if he averages 20 carries a game, 20 yards a carry, what would that be? 300 yards?
That'd be a lot.
It would be. But and I'm not saying he's going to do that. If he gets 20 carries, what if he gets 20 carries and averages 10 yards? 200-yard game. But what if he rips off a couple of really long ones, which is not out of the realm of possibility? So, again, his extraordinary talent matched with the, let's say, running challenge defense of Kent State sets the table, at least, for a potentially huge game for Isaiah.
So this is my first run with these guys, right? You've covered them the last few years, obviously, for a long time, but this particular group, my first run. And the thing that strikes me a lot about Isaiah is how nice and humble he comes across for being such a ferocious runner. Like, he runs the ball like he's mad. Like, he comes through that hole with power. And then you talk to him, he's just kind of soft-spoken, very nice, polite. He knows how to turn it on.
Yeah, I think he's almost a faster, well, probably not faster, but a shiftier version of Rodney Thomas.
Yeah.
Rodney didn't have a lot to say. Really nice guy. He was fast. I'm guessing he's probably faster than Isaiah. But Isaiah, what really makes Isaiah is Rodney was a really good straight-ahead runner. He's a power runner all the way, with power runner with speed. But what gets lost with Isaiah is how well he cuts. And so when he makes that cut on you and you're a little bit off balance trying to tackle him because he just cut, but he does it with just incredible power and more speed than you think, then that makes him really difficult to tackle. And that's why he averaged something like 3 yards a carry after contact.
I cannot unsee Billy's comparison of Arian Foster when I see him run, because ever since he brought it up, every time I see him, I visualize the way Arian used to run the ball with those high legs, those quick cuts, and just power through the hole. That is Isaiah Spiller to a T.
Yeah, and I would not be surprised if he has the same impact at the next level that Arian Foster did.
But I think he'll be drafted as opposed to Arian, who wasn't. But that was for different reasons. Right. Arian, as a running back, would have been drafted. He has some other issues there at Tennessee. Hey, there's a couple of other names I do want to get into, but before we hit a break and Stephen McGee joins us, do want to ask you about Aaron Hansford you put on the list as well. Excited about seeing him.
Yeah, well, first of all, he's going to be, I guess, the number one linebacker, taking over the Buddy Johnson kind of role. Great speed, and excellent at rushing the passer. But I think what you look at Aaron, and he had a solid year as a first-year starter.
Right.
And so he comes back for a super senior year, and I just always expect a guy who had a solid year as a first-year starter, be it Buddy Johnson, who did, be it Tyrell Dodson, who did good year as a first-year starter, really build on that and have a strong, call it a strong year. I don't want to say spectacular. I think Buddy had spectacular, but we'll look for him to have a strong year. I look for him to be even more active than he was a year ago.
All right, a couple text messages to read on the A&B text line. Caleb Chapman intrigues me a lot, says Matt in San Antonio. He's got the body and the skill set, so I'm interested to see what he in a one-game wonder with the Florida game. Was he a one-game wonder with the Florida game? Or will he be a reliable receiving threat for the Aggies? Only time will tell. And one more for you, Bayou Ag, who evacuated to Tallahassee. Prayers for you guys, obviously. Most excited to see Demas and Yokeith Brown going deep and how long of a TD run Devon will have. Yes, sir. Preach that. Love it. When we come back, Stephen McGee going to join us. Break it all down here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. But right now, I want to talk about my friend Chance McClain and Your Heritage Films, or yourheritagefilm.com. He makes high-quality documentaries like HBO, Netflix, A&E style, but he does it for you, your friend, your mother, your father, your grandfather, whoever it may be. He tells people stories, and he's amazing at doing that. Do you want your kids or your grandkids to know about your life, your struggles, your drive? Well, Chance is your guy to tell that story. He does that so well. And documentaries, guys, don't have to be about Brad Pitt or, Hakeem Olajuwon, whoever it may be. It can be about just normal people like all of us, right? Because our families and our stories all matter for many of those out there. So do it for birthdays, Father's Day, anniversary, you name it. He can do it for you. It takes about 8 to 10 weeks to do it. He's a slave to the process, travels around the country doing these stories. Check out yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. That is yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. BCS Habitat for Humanity announces its Financial Literacy Workshop Series. Thursday evenings this month. Find a schedule of topics and more information at habitatbcs.org. The 38th Annual National Night Out is Tuesday, October 5th. Neighbors are asked to turn on their front porch lights and spend the evening outside with neighbors and law enforcement. Contact your local police station to host a block party. The Sexual Assault Resource Center invites you to their primary fundraising event, the Evening Under the Stars Gala, Saturday, October 8th at Brownstone Reserve. Purchase tickets online at sarcbv.org. For more information about becoming a master gardener, visit brazosmg.com. 30 minutes after the clock hits 0 at Kyle Field on Saturday, join Dusty and Louie for the Zone Call-In Show, powered by TexAgs. Call in at 979-693-1150 with your questions, comments, or opinions after every A&M home game. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
The wait is over. This Friday, Bryan Broadcasting and the Nikki Peterson Talent Network present Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli.
So you guys, yes, I am a member of the Mommy Mafia. I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a good one.
Don't miss Hollywood's favorite clean comedian, Carrie Pomeroli, live in College Station this Friday, 7 p.m. at Skybreak Church. Bring your friends, bring a date, bring anyone who's ready for a good time.
You guys, who's happy just to be out of the house? Really? Right.
Save money and purchase your discount tickets online now at bryanbroadcasting.com. Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli this Friday. Presented by Nikki Peterson Talent Network. Be discovered. Thanks in part to our sponsors: Strata Auto Repair, Mark's, Manny's Appliance Repair and Cleaning Service, Dirt Road Rustics Furniture and Home Decor, Buff City Soap, Soap Makery, and Longway Home Adoptables. Tickets, VIP, and group packages on sale now at bryanbroadcasting.com.
The flagship station for Aggie athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Lance Lester at the Lester Group, Zwerneman Flooring, and The Sleep Station. Here's a big gig 'em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
The best is yet to come in College Station.
Chase Lane is in for a touchdown! Yes!
Head coach Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies are ready to rise to the top of the SEC.
Swing to Anias, he's in the end zone, a 6-yard reception.
Join us Saturday. The Kent State Golden Flashes visit College Station. Our coverage begins at 6 on your home for Aggies football.
Listen to Aggie football on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Online at radioaggieland.com or tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. 911 University Drive East in College Station. To see a wide selection of Rolex timepieces for both men and women, stop by David Gardner's Jewelers and meet their certified Rolex specialists out there. Shop online at davidgardnersjewelers.com. All right, we are in the Rollo Insurance Studio, and it's time to go to the BCSI hotline. We're joined by our QB1, our buddy Stephen McGee. Stephen, good morning to you. How are you, buddy?
Hey, guys. Good morning. Exciting. It's game week. The music on TexAgs is getting better. The little lead-in YouTube intro music is improved every week. I'm proud of you guys. It's
I was wondering where you can get
ready.
that. Where you can get that CD.
Exactly.
Hey, I want to say this real quick. So everybody, people think I like the music. I don't like the music. I hate it. But it's 9 seconds, and I laugh and I move on. But go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
No. I'm glad you made your point. I'll stop mentioning music every time I come on. But
I love it.
I think we're falling to the meat and potatoes of honestly what TexAgs is all about, and that's Texas A&M football. Not to, other sports are important too, but I'm excited that this thing is back rolling again, and a really good team. Jimbo's locked down. That's the best news we've heard in a long time. I mean, there's just a lot of good vibes right now.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Jimbo there, because what was your reaction when the news came out, and just what signal do you think that sends to everybody out there about A&M and our place in the future of college football?
I thought it was huge. You guys know, and I got accused of starting fires where there was no smoke, but I still will stick to my guns that at the end of the day, the biggest threat of Oklahoma and Texas moving to the SEC is not them and their presence in the conference. It's the fact that we don't have the arsenal and the tools and the support around Jimbo that he feels like is necessary through the NIL and all that stuff to win and compete in the recruiting race. And so I've always felt like him going to LSU is an option with that no buyout clause. And so I think this solidifies that he's here to stay. People can say I'm crazy. Maybe it's not true. I don't know. I think it's more realistic than what probably more Aggie fans would want to admit. And maybe it's not, but I'm just glad that he's going to be at A&M. And I think that this sends the right signal to him that A&M is committed to him and the job he's already done here and what we believe he's going to continue to do. And we want to make him one of the highest paid guys in the country without winning a national championship for us year. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement. So he's a fit culturally. And I think it's really important to us and our brand and our university and our football program that Jimbo Fisher's around.
I think we've seen what the presence of the quote right coach that's the fit can do. I think we've experienced some obviously on-field success. We see the recruiting and all the indicators are showing what's coming. It's almost like, when you see the hurricane's coming 5 days before it gets there. And it's kind of that kind of thing. We can see it all swirling and what it's building to. And so maybe there is a threat that another team could lure him away, maybe not. But why not just remove any doubt? And I think that's what A&M did.
But so have they removed the doubt out there? Do you believe because of the salary, the amount it would take, do you think that automatically does disqualify Alabama in the future or LSU from coming after Jimbo?
I'm not going to say it disqualifies them. I think not having the buyout always keeps that door slightly open. But at the end of the day, it's my belief, based on what I've heard, that Jimbo loves it here. He loves our culture. I think he's just a natural Aggie, if that makes sense. And I think isn't there another announcement, hopefully yet to come, from Ross Bajork about the facility upgrades and whatnot? And I think that's going to be a huge step in the right direction as well, because we already have really good facilities. But as you guys know, if you're a year behind, you're way behind in the facilities war, especially when you're competing against Alabama. So all those types of moves are going to only solidify our position and legitimacy in the SEC West.
I just wonder where they're going to put the lazy river like Clemson has. Where they're going to? Is that why the everything's roped off outside the former student center? Or
it's Aggie Park, baby. They're bringing it.
I want to jump in that lazy river.
I guarantee it. You and me both, OB. Maybe we'll start doing the show next year from the Lazy River.
I better get in shape.
Hey, Stephen, were you surprised by the amount of static from other schools about, why are you giving Jimbo this contract? I mean, he hasn't even won a conference championship. Blah, blah, blah. Like, were you surprised how loud that got?
Never surprised. I think that's a lot of jealousy on their part that they don't have the type of coach and they're not able to justify paying their coach what we're able to justify. At the end of the day, Jimbo Fisher's been worth every penny we paid him, in my opinion. The amount of excitement that he's brought to our program, I think it's going to continue to pay off as we go along here. So, honestly, I don't really care what anybody else says. Now the next step for A&M is just getting it done on the field. You have the ingredients here of a really good football team and young quarterback. I think that there's a brand that could really be built right now, beginning with this team. That could be something special.
I remember back when I covered Texas, Mac Brown got what was at the time a big raise. It put him over $1 million, but it seems like pocket change now. But at that time, that was a really huge deal.
Right.
And he hadn't won a conference or a national championship, and he would not win either for, I think, 5 more years. So it's not like this is unprecedented.
No,
it's just the numbers, but the numbers are huge, or just bigger now than they were 20 years ago.
So, Stephen, I 2-part question for you, and it goes to our topic of the day. Who are you most excited to see play on Saturday? And I want to go beyond the quarterback, but let's start off with the quarterback and Haynes King. Just what kind of leash do the Aggies, you think, give him?
I think it's a really long leash. I'm excited to see the difference in persona of Haynes King. I want to see those intangibles as a fan. I want to feel his presence on the field, if that makes sense. I want to see the fire that I've heard about. I want to see the compete that I've heard about from all the coaches and why they rave about him and why they think he is so special. Not just, yeah, he can run really fast and he's got great touch on the deep ball and he's a coach's kid. He's smart. He understands. That's going to become visible, but there's a lot of guys that can do that. The really difference between a good quarterback and a great quarterback is just that, you just feel it, right? And I hope that that's what we sense on Saturday at some point during that game. I want him to get off to a great start so that he builds up the confidence, the team builds up confidence as they start to get into tougher and tougher games.
Having not seen him actually play except for a little bit, he sounds to me like he has the deep touch and speed of a Reggie McNeil, the just competitive nature of a Stephen McGee, and that factor of a Bucky Richardson. So there you go. I'm not putting too much on him.
That's a lot.
No pressure.
Hey, Stephen, beyond Haynes, who's somebody you have your eye on? Is it the offensive line? Is it Caleb Chapman? Is it maybe if Demas gets out there, Anias? Who are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm interested to see some of these young guys on the offensive line. And I know that they've put out their starting lineup, but Fathery potentially starting at left tackle, see what happens. You'll Keith Brown, a young wide receiver that I've heard has done really well through camp. We'll see if he has an impact. And I think Chase Lane, from what I've heard, I've not seen it with my own eyes, has had a really, really good camp. So these are positions that we need to have a big impact on. I think a lot of the other positions, we kind of know what we have on the offensive side of the ball. And then tight end, who knows what's going to happen with Kupp? Is he healthy? Is he not healthy? But you get a young quarterback in the factor and all of a sudden switches to tight end, and I hear he's having a great camp. Maybe he gets thrown out there a little bit. So I'm excited to see him.
Back to Haynes for a second. Security blankets. Sometimes Kellen had his, obviously. And of course, you're going to go to Jalen Watermeyer as much as you need to because he's one of the best, if not the best tight end out there. But you touched on it earlier. I'm excited to see who he's connecting with. Who does he have chemistry with? And if he's willing to go deep.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I feel like this offense kind of lacked last year was that explosive play consistently. Over the top, outside, we talked about the importance of getting that. I hope Caleb Chapman's healthy because he certainly provided that against Florida. But yeah, who is the security blanket? Kellen always had Jamon Osmond over there. That felt like he was his security blanket. When he really needed one on 3rd and short, he would go over there on the slant route, the hitch route. I don't know who that's going to be. Anaya Smith certainly is a guy that I would look to as often as I could if I was Haynes King. If you can hit him on a check down, that's not necessarily a bad play at all. So there's a lot of really good guys that you can rely on. Isaiah Spiller out of the backfield's got great hands as well. And then don't forget about A-Chain. Good luck catching that guy, right? So there's so much at his disposal that it's going to be fun to watch this offense.
So, Stephen, David and I were talking about this earlier. I'd like to get as a quarterback, your thoughts on it. So how would you think you would bring along Haynes? Would you give him 15 to 20 passes and make them, high percentage type things to bring him along slowly? Or do you think, hey, these are the kind of games to just let him air it out and throw deep a lot and, work on becoming that offense that can stretch the field?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I would start the game with a set of plays that's pre-orchestrated, and I would go to Haynes and ask him, what is your favorite pass plays? You give me your 2 or 3 favorite concepts, and let's run those. I want you to get completions at the very beginning. That first drive, I believe, is so important for a quarterback's momentum and his psyche, getting him settled in. I think the run-pass options are important because he can use his legs and create. But yes, easy completions are always a good thing. RPOs where you're throwing the bubble screen, get the ball in your hands and let your guys work versus an inferior opponent and then get the chains moving. I think that's the most important thing. Once that's happened, then I think you start dialing it in shots. You'd hate to see you take a shot early in the game and you go 3 and out. I think those first couple of drives where you're getting first downs is important for a young quarterback.
How do you block out negativity in your mind, especially as a young quarterback, Stephen, when, let's say, things aren't going as rosy as you expected and you don't want it to become habitual and you don't want it to get in your head as you move forward?
That's tough. It's not easy. That's one of the hard parts about playing the position. We say that quarterback is 90% between the ears, and that's one of the distractions that happens through the course of the game. You got to be able to block out a bad play, a bad interception. And as Jason Garrett would say in Dallas, the only play I care about right now is the next one. So stop talking about the last one. I don't care about that one. And so as the quarterback, you've got to just have a next play mentality, and you've got to be solely focused on what do I have to do now to be successful.
All right, more with Stephen McGee here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Right now, be caller number 1, and we're going to give you a free car wash from Aggieland Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. They're Aggie-owned and operated with the friendliest staff and personal touch. They offer monthly memberships, but we're going to give the first caller a free car wash right now on Aggieland Express in South College Station, 979-693-1150.
You're listening to Aggieland, only all sports station. The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
For service you can trust and a job done right the first time, contact Tom Line Plumbing and Irrigation. Whether it's commercial or residential, new construction or service, they have you covered. Tom and Shelby Line have been serving the Brazos Valley for 11 years, and their team of plumbers have more than 40 years of experience. Customer service is their highest priority. Trust your every plumbing need to Tom Line Plumbing and Irrigation. Click TomLynePlumbing.com today.
Everyone in the Brazos Valley has a unique story to tell. It's a community made up of survivors.
He's going to have a full recovery.
He's got such a good attitude about everything.
Hard workers.
Everyone kind of had a pivot and looked to see how things were going to change.
Visionaries.
That really drives that economic engine for growth within the Brazos Valley.
And just good people.
There are inspiring stories everywhere you look, and your local news team is dedicated to bring you more on KRHD News, connecting the Brazos Valley.
The 15th Annual Fall Wedding Show and Benefit is Sunday, September 19th at the Brazos County Expo Complex. Meet local event professionals offering everything you'll need to plan your wedding. Tickets are $20 at the door or $15 in advance online now at wabv.org. You won't want to miss meeting local wedding professionals or the chance to win a $1,000 gift certificate valid at any Wedding Association member. Get your tickets now for the 15th Annual Fall Wedding Show and Benefit at wabv.org.
He was the heart of your family, and he taught you our history. He helped you fix your first flat. He was the best backyard DJ around. And every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa, what's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage. The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share. StoryCorps Connect. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
The Bellucci Hour is back. It is back at the tap every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Join Billy Liucci of TexAgs, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio, and the Liucci Cast, along with Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, and Sports Director of Bryan Broadcasting. Monday, Thursday, 6 p.m. It's the Bellucci Hour, happy hour, and it's all thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Let the Bellucci Hour get you ready for Aggie football 2021.
I see Opie dancing over there.
I feel like Maven Johnson when finally, you don't know what that is, do you?
No, I just pretend like I know things.
Steve Martin and the Jerk. When he hears
I have seen The Jerk. I just don't remember things. I remember Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop and Rocky. Other than that, and The Godfather. Other than that, I forget a lot of things. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. All guests and callers join us on the BCSI hotline, and that's where we find Stephen McGee, RQB1, Paragon Financial, and a good friend to the show. It is now time for That's Bullcrap, presented by Tom Line Plumbing. For service you can trust, consider Tom Line Plumbing, a great friend of Mr. McGee, longtime trusted plumber in and around the Brazos Valley. Check them out at tomlineplumbing.com. Stephen, give it to us.
Well, I'm not sure who the Bullcrap is on this week, but Bishop Sycamore High School, it's hilarious. I'm going to be quite frank. I think it really falls ultimately on ESPN and their marketing group. But this, if you haven't seen it, go out there and look into and read the articles on Bishop Sycamore. We had a person come in our office yesterday, mention it to me, and I'm in tears laughing. I think it's great. They've essentially doped ESPN to thinking that they're a legitimate high school program, and they scheduled them against IMG Academy, and they said they had, 5, 6, 7, 8 college Division I recruits, and yet on air you can hear the guy say, man, I don't have this guy in my database. And then you find out later that this place does not exist. There is no school, there is no building, there are no recruits. It's just a fabricated team to line up against IMG. That's a roster full of JUCO dropouts, and I mean, the guys aren't necessarily 18 and younger. They're some guys as old as 21, if I'm not mistaken. But it's hilarious. I love it. It's amazing that these things can happen in 2021. But there you go. That's my bullcrap.
Yeah, my bullcrap follows that because I'm calling bullcrap on this former ESPN president, John Skipper, who said he didn't fault ESPN. And his analogy was, if you can't ask Walmart to know what's going on in every store, but it's not like you have 1,000 games,
right?
And couldn't you? They apparently were having a Zoom meeting, and Bishop Sycamore, opted out. Couldn't do the Zoom. I'm like, wait a minute, you're getting on ESPN, but you can't make the meeting. Wouldn't that be a red flag? That maybe something? Plus, Bishop Sycamore. I lived in Dallas. You have Bishop Lynch, you have Bishop Dunn. They're always named after these bishops, right?
Right.
Who do you know whose last name's Sycamore?
Oh, he's awesome. I don't know if you've been there, but he's great.
Sounds like Baylor. Sycamore. Hey, Sycamore.
Hey, so my bullcrap is last night, guys, and literally bullcrap because the dogs, we're in an apartment, as you guys know, 4 kids, 2 dogs, 2 bunnies, and an apartment. And the dogs got into some pork chops the night before. I guess when we were cleaning up, we didn't see it, and they ate like 5 pork chops. So yesterday, on 3 different occasions, there was a river waiting for us, and the amount of cleaning that I had to do up until almost midnight last night, because it happened 3 different times, that is bullcrap.
Sounds like bulldog crap.
Along with guys, also don't make this mistake. I have AirPods that I use when I go running or work out, and I went to the park yesterday, put them in my pocket just to have a conversation with somebody, and I lost one on the way to the car. I spent 44 minutes. That's probably a lie. I spent 19 minutes looking for that one AirPod because I had 2. One, this is all along with the crap that was going on at home, and I couldn't find it. I had my little light everywhere. My son found it in the parking lot. Saved the night until I got home again for the dogs. And I think I was a little too descriptive there. Steven,
man, hate to see that.
Man, the worst kind of night. Steven, man, we appreciate you as always. Hope to see you this weekend, and go Aggs.
Absolutely. Gig 'em,
man. Thank you. Stephen McGee. Love having him here. Great times. By the way, next week, right after this segment, Ryan Swope going to be joining us.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, so I love when Swope is around. So we'll have a great one. OB, great hour. Thank you so much, sir.
You bet.
We will see you tomorrow for the final show before the first game.
I'll be here.
Yes, you will. Coming up next on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk a little up to the second college football, part of my interview with Bryan Fischer from Athlon Sports. We also have Aaron Torres coming up at 9:30, and I want to get into unleashing the king on Kent State, the Flashes. Take that, pal. All that and more here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
This is your home for TexAgs Radio. Louis Bellina and Chip Howard. Now listen, this is The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
I'm 5'11", barely 5'4".
I weigh about 170 pounds.
Brown eyes, blue eyes,
Brown hair.
gray hair. I'm a baseball fanatic. I'm a wife, a mom, a sister.
And a grandfather. I'm a bodybuilder.
I'm a research analyst,
Small business owner.
teacher, dance fitness instructor.
Film and television actor. I'm an office clerk.
I'm a copywriter. I'm a veteran.
I have a prosthetic leg.
I have multiple sclerosis. I have lupus,
Cerebral palsy.
post-traumatic stress disorder.
I'm blind.
And I'm working in a job I love. I love because I was given a chance
Because I was given a chance.
to contribute my skills and talents.
To show my disability is only one part of who I am.
Who I am.
Who I am.
At work, it's what people can do that matters. For more information, visit whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Download podcast of your favorite shows, Louie, Chip, or TexAgs in the Pod Center at zone1150.com. Subscribe and have them downloaded daily for you in the Pod Center at zone1150.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. Economic development activities in College Station includes the City Council giving up utility easements and right-of-way along University between Eisenhower and Nimitz. Mayor Carl Mooney provided details during his visit on WTAW.
Dutch Bros, some people call it Dutch Brothers.
But it's Bros.
Coffee shop purchased that land. And so in order to have adequate egress and ingress, went to the city. They noticed that the city has 2 easements on the property.
Mooney says the city had no present or future plans to build on the former easements and right-of-way. The pandemic has not slowed down economic development recruiting in the Brazos Valley. Just the opposite is happening. The president of the Brazos Valley Economic Development Corporation, Matt Prohaska, told those attending the Bryan College Station Chamber of Commerce Economic Outlook briefing that they're targeting 3 areas.
Applied research and development, professional and technical services, and then, of course, engineered materials and components.
BVEDC is working with 60 prospects this year compared with 38 last year. More buildings on Texas A&M's main campus means the need for more cooling and heating. That's what led the A&M System Board of Regents at last week's quarterly meeting to approve spending almost $19 million to replace a satellite utility plant next to the Rudder Theater Complex. Construction starts this month and is projected to be completed in March of 2023. A Navasota man admits to stabbing one person in the armed robbery of a second person that took place in College Station's Northgate district in January of 2019. The judge that took the plea then sentenced 21-year-old Kevin Ramos to 25 years for the robbery and 20 years for the stabbing. Both sentences will be served at the same time. Ramos was out of jail on bond for 2 years and 8 months until he was sentenced on Tuesday. For more news, go online to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Howdy, y'all. This is Cullen Gillespie, former 12th man. I've always tried to help my team on and off the field. And now I'd like to help Texas A&M fans like you cut their electricity bills in half. Yup, in half. It takes less than 5 minutes and you'll save hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars every year. 90% of Texans overpay for electricity, so don't be one of them. Sign up today at EnergyOgre.com and use code GILLY, G-I-L-L-Y, for a free month of service.
Howdy, this is Steve Bledsoe, fighting Texas Aggie class of '83, with some exciting news. VeriBank is now open with our new full-service location on Highway 6 in College Station. With personal bankers, business bankers, VeriBank has everything you need in one convenient location. Come see for yourself where genuine banking is waiting for you, and you can bank on it.
Visit VeraBank.com today. That's VERA Bank.com. VeraBank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Well, it's officially official. Jimbo Fisher is now the second highest paid coach in college football. The Texas A&M Board of Regents approved an extension and raise for Fisher yesterday, bringing his salary to $9 million a year starting January 1st. Now that number trails only Alabama's Nick Saban. Fisher at his coach's show last night.
Glad to be here. It's a wonderful place, and like I said, I love it here. I feel very comfortable here, and hopefully we can continue to do great things here. And we have a tremendous administration, the Board of Regents, the 12th man. Everything here is such in line.
Now, in addition to his $9 million base salary, Fisher will also receive a $150,000 raise in 2023, followed by a $100,000 annual raise until 2031. In 3 seasons, he's led the Aggies to a 26-10 overall record and an Orange Bowl win and a number 4 final ranking in 2020. Now, he and the guys enter the Saturday season opener against Kent State, ranked 6th in the country. Now, for more insights into the matchup with the Golden Flashes, tune into the Liucci Hour tonight from 6 to 7 right here on The Zone. Texas A&M volleyball got back up on the winning track last night, downing Cal Poly in 5 sets. Lauren Davis collected 19 kills, and Morgan Kristen added 18 for the Ags, who improved to 2-2 on the year. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family. Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
Hour number 2, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. You can text the show at 979-693-1150. That is the A&B text line. A&B, a good College Station branch of the Amarillo National Bank. Good Texas banking. Website is anb.com. You can also be part of the conversation by calling the BCSI hotline. That number, 979-693-1150. I'm actually going to go see Dr. K later on today, get my eyes checked, my first real checkup ever. Never really had the eyes looked at, but good times there. I did send out the topic of the day. Who are you most excited to see play on Saturday outside of the obvious? Try to get to a couple text messages before we get into some other stuff I had planned for this segment here on the A&B text line. Lance in Round Mountain says, I'm really excited to see the young offensive linemen play on Saturday. Getting talented big guys like Bryce Foster, Aggie, and Fathery some much-needed experience before heading into the gauntlet of the SEC West schedule is critical to the success of the Texas Aggie football team in 2021. 100% agree. By the way, apparently people are taking pictures of Bryce Foster on campus on his scooter, and he's not about it. He's like, I'm just trying not to walk, guys. He's tweeting about it. He says, you aren't slick taking those photos of me. Wink also sends in on the A&B text line, I'd like to see how a D would defend Smith, Spiller, and A-Chain into the backfield with Cup and Watermeyer on the line. Yep, option here, option everywhere. Absolutely, without a doubt. And one last one before we get into the meat of the topic. Cody in San Antonio, excluding King's ability to read the defense, I'm super pumped to see these things in order. The O-line play and the lineup. Linebacker play with a new middle linebacker, and we play in depth and a fish named Brown. Beat the hell out of Kent State. You got it there, Cody. Appreciate the conversation. As I mentioned, we got a lot of new content. Obviously, the recruiting guys did their thing yesterday. Go check it out. Some of you weren't aware of it. We're just trying to churn out new content all the time on TexAgs.com. It is the best time ever to become a subscriber. Go do it. Again, it's the most special season in Aggie football history. At least we believe it to be. It could be. You want to be on top of all the breakdowns and the analysis we're getting from Luch. But from a content perspective, we're all over the place, okay? We released just yesterday a new show. We've got Howell and Bronny doing their thing. And OB is writing constant articles. On Saturday, we're going to have a new look to our post-game wrap where I'll be here in studio immediately after the game. Going to try to get some former players on there. We'll break it down. We're also going to be taking your comments on the air live. So we have this function, this software that when you post onto Twitter, you post onto YouTube, you post onto Facebook, Dalton's got the ability to put it up on the screen with us. So we'll be doing that. And so you'll be a part of the conversation immediately after the game. I'm talking minutes after, whatever time it takes me to get from the field to here. Just broke my microphone. But we'll have that immediately after the game. So hopefully you'll be a part of that conversation and watch us on Sunday. We have the Luchador podcast. It's going to be Billy's first chance to really talk to you folks about everything he saw on the game on Saturday, and we'll get into some other nonsense as well. But that'll be on Sundays as well. So just to give you guys stuff every single day. And as I alluded to earlier, we released a new show yesterday. We're going to be doing it weekly on Wednesdays. It's called Up to the Second College Football. The SEC is in big letters because it is going to be a very SEC-heavy show. It is not a Texas A&M show. This is a supplement to your listening, all the content we're giving you, just a different vibe and more all-around college football. Texas A&M will be a part of that conversation on most weeks. It is but a show that is going to look at all the big games in the SEC and in college football. We'll bring in some national guests. We bring in some insiders to programs, the big game of the weekend. For me, obviously, it's the Clemson-Georgia game, so we brought in some insiders for that game. We'll also take on some big topics around college football. Yes, we did get a Texas perspective. You can skip that segment if it's, I think, the last one on the show. Hopefully you'll listen to it because it's just different perspectives, insiders from around there. So one of the interviews we did was with Bryan Fischer. You may remember his time with CBS Sports for a very long time, college football insider. He's now with Athlon Sports. And if you want to check out the YouTube show, it's on there. It's also on the website. But here's part of our conversation with Bryan Fischer. We go to Athlon Sports. Bryan Fischer joining us here on the show. Bryan, thanks so much for joining us, my friend.
Great to be on with you.
Hey, so let's start things off with quarterbacks out there. There's a lot of names you could throw out there, but who do you see as the best college football quarterback entering this season?
I think it's really kind of wide open. I know everybody's going to talk about, Sam Howell at UNC or Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma, but I think it really is kind of everybody out there can contend for it. I mean, you look at DJ Uyunglele at Clemson. He's another guy that I think could have some Heisman type potential, and I think there's no one kind of returning starter that everybody's kind of fawning over, and that includes the NFL scouts. I think that everybody's really looking forward to what kind of season a lot of these quarterbacks can come. So I think it is a pretty wide open race in terms of who might be that top guy.
Bryan, are you high on Oklahoma? This being the last year potentially. We'll see what happens in the future in the Big 12. Can they get it done this year?
I think so. I think, this is a team that has been building towards this moment. And I think, Lincoln Riley, with what he's been able to recruit on the defensive side of the ball, this is going to be really a top 20 defense. And that's always been the question mark about the Sooners these last couple of years is, can they have that defense to match? And I think they finally do, especially up front. The defensive line looks a lot closer to those old Oklahoma teams that we were used to seeing, in terms of the bodies up front. They're really excited about the rotation as well, with the number of guys they can kind of throw out there and the depth that they have. Really not something that they've had these last couple of years. I think, Alex Grinch, the DC, is really excited about his crew there. And so you throw that with an offense that we know with Lincoln Riley can put up points, Heisman Trophy guy and Spencer Rattler. I think Oklahoma, definitely not only the class of the Big 12 this year, but certainly looking higher at those college football playoff aspirations.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Miami taking on Alabama. Do you think Derek King can make enough plays to make this game interesting? And does he have to be the best player on the field for them to have a chance to beat them?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the $1 million question, right? What kind of health and status is he is? I mean, we've seen guys recover from injuries like that in the past, but let's face it, it's just a lot on his shoulders. And does Miami have some game-breaking guys that can have those abilities to score touchdowns from all over the field? Sure, but especially in the trenches, how are they going to combat this Alabama defense, which, let's face it, I think everybody kind of got a mixed message from them last year, especially after that Ole Miss game. This is a very, very good unit. I think you look at that front seven, they've got bodies for days. They've got starters. You plug in guys like Henry Toto. This is going to be difficult to move the ball against the Crimson Tide. So Miami, with the way they can move that tempo and have a quarterback like that can escape pressure, it's a tall task. But certainly Derek King has that opportunity this weekend to make a big game out of it and possibly pull an upset.
All right, let's talk a little Clemson, Georgia, because some people believe this game really doesn't have college football playoff implications. Do you see it having it? Because Clemson's got a pretty easy road down the way, and Georgia still has plenty of room to make up if they were to fall in the SEC.
Yeah, I think in the college football playoff picture, it really doesn't mean a ton. You look at Clemson, I think it does hurt them maybe more if they are to take a loss, just because the ACC reputation is not where, you could have, an equal, especially if there's some chaos elsewhere, to where you have an Oklahoma that goes undefeated out there. If you have, obviously, the SEC champion, maybe even the SEC East champion, if Georgia runs the table, the rest of the way. So I think it's a more difficult path for them to kind of come back from a loss. But, the schedule sets up nicely for them. I think this is really a big measuring stick test game for both offenses, in terms of what are we going to see this year, not just out of their quarterbacks, but out of their wide receivers, their running backs, the offensive linemen that they're replacing. I think it's going to be a big, certainly a big game for everybody. Everybody's hyped for this top 5 matchup, two regional rivals. But at the end of the day, I think everybody wants to see what is the level and caliber of these teams. And we'll be able to see that certainly early on in that game in Charlotte.
All right, so turning our attention to the University of Texas, I think they got a pretty tough start to the season against teams that they should beat, but tougher teams out there. Arkansas week 2, obviously Louisiana week 1. How do you see this playing out these first couple of weeks for Texas?
Well, it's certainly going to be interesting. I mean, I think Steve Sarkisian, with the quarterback announcement that they've had, they're excited to go with their guys. And I think Bijan Robinson, I mean, they better be giving that guy the rock, 20 or 30 times a game. I mean, he is not only going to be the focal point of that offense, but this is going to be an interesting crew in terms of the wide receivers mix that they've got. I think they're still a little bit questionable along the offensive line. They've got some good pieces there, but are they going to be able to hold up for all those games? But they've got a big test, against a Louisiana team that not only has a ton coming back, but they're excited to play a team like Texas. They know that they're ranked in the top 25 as well. This is going to be huge for Billy Napier's program. So they might have a few things saved up. I'm sure Sark and that staff are preparing for that, but it's going to be a very interesting chess match. And like you mentioned, it's a tough non-conference schedule for Texas, and they basically don't kind of get really much of a break until they play Kansas this year.
All right, turning our attention to the Pac-12. Can Oregon be a team that gets somehow into that Final Four playoff spot?
I think so. And I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to just how do they look against Ohio State in that week 2 matchup. I think everybody's excited about the talent level that Mario Cristobal has had there in Eugene. He's recruited tremendously well, especially in the trenches, which has normally been a problem for a lot of those Pac-12 teams. The offensive and defensive lines look like they're a major college football playoff contender. And, I think that's been his biggest transformation there. It does come down to quarterback. And I mean, Anthony Brown, I think he's got a high floor. I just don't know if the ceiling is there to truly take this team to the next step and beat a team like Ohio State. But if they can look good, kind of evolve throughout the rest of the year, certainly the Pac-12 schedule sets up nicely for them to where, they can get right back into the thick of the national chase. And, they're going to have some help elsewhere, especially if they do lose that game to the Buckeyes. They'll need some upset of Oklahoma or Clemson taking a second loss or something like that to kind of get into the playoff mix. But this is a very good team that I think Mario Cristobal has, and I'm excited to kind of see how they evolve throughout the year.
Bryan, are you at all intrigued by LSU and UCLA, two teams that I really don't know where to put them just because I know LSU can be good. UCLA put up, 44 on Hawaii. I don't know where to put these teams. Can you help me out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think UCLA is a team that can contend for the Pac-12 South, which I think maybe speaks a little bit more just how wide open, that division is overall. But, this is what Chip Kelly and his staff has kind of been building for. You look through up and down there too deep. It's not just the continued evolution of guys like Dorian Thompson-Robinson or bringing in guys like Zach Charbonnet at running back. They've really built the entire offense and defense around veterans in that system that know what they do by now. And you saw flashes of it, even though they were playing pretty vanilla against Hawaii. I think you saw the flashes of UCLA kind of turning the corner under Chip Kelly. They've got a tall task, though, against LSU. Now, you never know with LSU going on the road to Houston this week and everybody kind of think about what's going on there, certainly back home in the state of Louisiana, how much that might weigh on them early on. But I know Ed Orgeron, and he's confident in this team turning it around. I think the upside with Max Johnson, is there. He's not only capable of making all the throws, but I think he's excited to kind of take on this task in the Rose Bowl. And I mean, the Tigers, they are going to be really overmatching, the Bruins there in the trenches. I think that's where they can really win is up front. And they've got guys on the outside. I mean, Keyshawn Boot, he's going to be one of the names mentioned in terms of the Biletnikoff Award. So they've got some guys, and I know Ed Orgeron, nothing more than for the former USC coach to go into the Rose Bowl, get a big win against UCLA. I would imagine they're going to be fired up for this opportunity this weekend.
Bryan, so this show originates from College Station. Lots of expectations. I'm an Aggie as well for what Texas A&M can do and what Jimbo is putting together here at Texas A&M. Your thoughts as they enter this season? They got Kent State this weekend, and then they've got Colorado and New Mexico before things get real. But how do you see the Aggies finishing out this year?
I think in terms of everybody looking at the SEC, if this is going to be the year to kind of knock off Alabama, certainly whether you mention Georgia, whether you mention Texas A&M, it's really the opportunity in front of them. And I think Jimbo Fisher and that staff understand, this they've been building towards this moment. Yeah, there are questions about, whether Haynes King and how he's going to handle being, QB1, but they wouldn't have chosen him and chosen him this early in the process if they weren't confident in his abilities. And he does, let's face it, kind of add a bit of a different element to that offense. I'm very curious to see how much they are going to kind of run him and use that dual threat ability. But he's got a tremendous set of skill position talent around him. And I know there are questions along the offensive line. I think that might be probably the biggest question mark left for this team outside of the quarterback position. But they've been stacking those top 5 classes after top 5 classes. And the depth, honestly, is as good as I've seen in probably a couple decades. They're in College Station. So this is a team that has been building for these type of moments to where you got Alabama coming into Kyle Field. This is a big time season for the program after making that big leap last year and going 9-1, finishing in the top 4 of the polls. Now it's time to take advantage of it and really win the SEC West and move on from there.
Move on from there. Just wait. October 9th is going to be crazy, electric. Cannot wait for that. But honestly, can't wait to what we see on Saturday to really help solidify our opinions. If you guys know what I'm talking about, like we have these theories on how we think things are going to go based on practice reports, based on what we saw last year and some changes, right? But now the real evaluation begins. How do they handle the situation? How do the other teams handle it? Because A&M's here. They've arrived, and now they're going to go forward, and it's going to look. As a fan, I can be very optimistic or pessimistic. It just kind of depends on my mood. I'm very optimistic with the Aggies this year. Very, very optimistic, as I think we all are, for the obvious reasons, and it starts with the coach and just the culture he has established. Speaking of culture, how about the Association of Former Students, the oldest organization serving Texas A&M in support of the Aggie Network? We're talking over 100 and 40 years of greatness, guys. The gifts by you, the Aggies out there, have empowered the association to be here, there, and everywhere. And they certainly are everywhere. If you hear the list where they're involved, they're like literally everywhere, helping out with mental health programming, student muster, ROTC departments, academic scholarships, study abroad scholarships. And all of that is possible because of your donations and your help. And to give to the association, how about you become a Century Club member? I didn't do it for a couple years, forgot, didn't pay my bill, and I'm a loser for it. But I'm back in. I'm on the winner team now. Team winner. Hello. And for $100 a year, roughly, $9 a month, you get the decal, the plaque, the Texas Aggie magazine. Plus, you're continuing in the oldest, most inspiring tradition of Aggies helping other Aggies out there. To learn more about the impact of the association or get involved, make a gift, visit aggienetwork.com/giving.
This is the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The wait is over. This Friday, Bryan Broadcasting and the Nikki Peterson Talent Network present Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli.
So you guys, yes, I am a member of the Mommy Mafia. I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a good one.
Don't miss Hollywood's favorite clean comedian, Carrie Pomeroli, live in College Station this Friday, 7 p.m. at Skybreak Church. Bring your friends, bring a date, bring anyone who's ready for a good time.
You guys, who's happy just to be out of the house? Really? Right.
Save money and purchase your discount tickets online now at bryanbroadcasting.com. Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli this Friday. Presented by Nikki Peterson Talent Network. Be discovered. Thanks in part to our sponsors: Strata Auto Repair, Mark's, Manny's Appliance Repair and Cleaning Service, Dirt Road Rustics Furniture and Home Decor, Buff City Soap, Soap Makery, and Longway Home Adoptables. Tickets, VIP, and group packages on sale now at bryanbroadcasting.com.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Bryan Broadcasting is your home for high school football. Bryan High, A&M Consolidated, Rudder, and College Station High play on the Bryan Broadcasting family of stations. No matter where you are, hear every play, every game, all season long. Thanks to A&B, Blinn College, BCS Toyota, and Ed Phillips Plumbing. To find out when and where to hear your favorite team, go to brazosfootball.com.
Now that the foster child I was working with has been reunified with his family, I realized that the hardest part wasn't that bittersweet day I had to say goodbye. It wasn't the time spent with social workers, attorneys, and others to make sure he had what he needed to succeed. It wasn't learning how to advocate for a child in foster care and how to navigate the system. The hardest part was realizing I had what it took to become a CASA volunteer. Make a difference in a child's life by visiting becomeacasa.org. Every child has a chance. It's you. Brought to you by Texas CASA.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fun Center sells and service Polaris ATVs, Rangers, Blazers, Global Electric Cars, Buddhist, and the Polaris Slingshot. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone.
TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Hour number 2, David Nuño here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I'll talk a little Haynes with you guys in a moment, but I want to read this message from Mark, who's listening out there. He's struggling. He had a hotel booked for this weekend 9 months ago, and they recently, just within the last couple days, told him that they had to cancel it because there's a glitch in the system. Now he's coming to College Station with no place to go. If you guys have any leads or hookups, Mark would appreciate that. You can send that to me, and I'll send it to him. We've got to find him a place to stay. I don't know if this has happened before, but yes, as he mentions in the message to me, Bad Bull by the A&M Hotel, there's no doubt about that. Hopefully they can take care of him here in College Station somewhere. We appreciate that. All right, guys, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it. Sorry to give you the 979-693-1150. That is the A&B text line. You can also call us at the BCSI Associates hotline on that same number, 979-693-1150. And I kind of wanted to get into Haynes because one of the things, so a hotel in College Station, by the way, guys, that's where it happened. I didn't say which one. And he's looking for a hotel in College Station for help. So somebody can help him out. All right. One of the things I want to talk about Haynes is that he is, I want to see how they unleash him, how they allow him to do his thing. And I think it's very important to see what kind of keys that, I'm using a lot of cliches here, that Jimbo gives him. Sure. So Olin brought it up in the first hour. Do we want to see a vanilla Haynes? I don't. I also don't want to see everything from Haynes, right? Like, there's certain things you want to hold back for big games, but I don't believe like allowing your quarterback to do his thing is putting too much on film. Greatness is greatness. You can know greatness is coming, and if Haynes is great, which we think he might be great, if greatness is coming, then they have to adjust. They have to absolutely adjust. So from a game plan sense, yes, keep it vanilla. Please, not too crazy. Run the ball, pass the ball, experiment a little bit. Game plan-wise, that's what I want to see. But what I do want to see is the speed. I want to see him launch it. I want to see him experiment. Right? Take some chances. Take some chances. Not a lot of chances, but some chances. Let's get those jitters out. You know how it is when you get to a game, you're playing, first day at work, whatever. There are some jitters initially. That's why you want to do something where he's involved early and he has success. And I think OB even talked about it, like maybe throwing right away. I think that is a way to do it. That is certainly something to do. Obviously, I don't want to see trick plays out there. Nobody wants to see trick plays, right? Nobody wants to see trick plays. But I do want to see him experiment. And let's not put anything on film for Nick Saban that is too glaring, but enough to where we can buy in, where he can buy in. Because as confident as you are, until you go into battle, you don't know. You know, but you don't know. You know you can do it. We've all had it at work. I've had it on this show. You know you can do the gig. Until you do it, you don't fully know. And I want to see him fully know by doing what his skill set does. And by the way, if he is doing his thing, which to me is a lot of improv, right? That's how I've come to believe what he's be able to do. He can run, he can pass, he can make the reads, he can lead. But when it comes to the improvisation, the improv, you can't prepare for the improv. I mean, you can prepare mentally that you know something extraordinary might come at you, but you cannot completely prepare for it. So think about that. No trick plays, but improv. Let him be him. He is so gifted athletically. I want to see what he can do in those moments where he has to make a split-second decision. One of the beauties that made Johnny was his ability to change on a dime. He's running one way. Oh, I got him. And then he cuts the other way. And we heard Leon O'Neal talk about him the other day, about Haynes. How, you think you got the angle on him, but that speed, that opens everything up. He can turn on you. He can, and that's what I want to see. And it's not just about the running, guys. Like, some of it is more the mindset behind the pocket. You have a quarterback that has several skills. I want to see those skills on display. I don't want to put too much on film, but enough on film. Right? And again, we're talking about, we've had Kellen for so long here that you got used to a certain style, and it was safe. It was absolutely safe. I want to be a little risky. Not too risky. I think a lot of you have done this, but risk versus reward. Like I teach my kids this all the time. Risk versus reward. Sometimes you want to take a risk. What's the reward here? Right? Do you want to throw an interception inside your own 20? No. Like, sometimes you can go downfield and experiment, though. Risk versus reward. When are you trying to gamble because it does matter when. There's a time to be safe, especially with a strong defense and an incredible running game, right? There's a time to be safe, and there's a time not. It is never cool to throw picks. But what sometimes those mistakes in throwing picks are what make greatness. The idea is I can get this play going. Got to be careful. But I do want to see some gunslinging out there. I do. I just want to see what it feels like, sees on film. All right, guys, I want to remind you to text 900-900 for your chance to win the Big Friday giveaway, courtesy of our friends at Aggieland Outfitters. I've been talking about the little snacks and the hat all week long. It is run the damn ball. That's what it says on the hat. It actually says it, and you know why, because A&M can run the ball. They're the best, right? They got an incredible running game, and this hat is really the kind of hat you want to wear on the sidelines when you're at the game, around town. Hey, man, what's your hat say? There you go. Look at the hat. Take a look. It is adjustable. It's white, fits most, and it is got the maroon embroidery, and it's made of polyester. And the beauty of that is it'll protect you. It gives you that UPF 50-plus protection, comfortable when you're out there in the heat, game days, or if you're just going to go play golf, whatever it may be. This is a wonderful hat for that. And if you just look at the Hello Jello Cream from Quattro Ranch, just look at it. I don't know. It looks quite delicious. Looks tasty. And it is. It's the orange Jello and Cool Whip combined for a freeze-dried taste. It's a unique snack. It is awesome. You want to try that out there at Aggieland Outfitters. But the hat itself, $36.98. Run the ball. Run the damn ball. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Thanks to our friends there at Aggieland Outfitters.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Pull off the cover of your classic auto and drive out to Wheelock on Saturday, October 16th for the car show. Find the event on our community calendar at WTAW.com for details. The Buffalo Stampede is back. Runner walk the 13th annual Buffalo Stampede Half Marathon and 5K race on October 16th. Register at BrazosValleyMuseum.org. Hospice Brazos Valley is offering 3 groups dedicated to assist adults grieving a loss. There is no cost to attend, but RSVP is required. Call 979-821-2266. Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Brazos Valley is seeking adult volunteers. Go online to bbsbrazos.com. Start your Kent State game day Saturday with the Zone pregame show, powered by TexAgs.com. Join Olin, Cease, and Louie at 4 p.m. as your tailgate buddies. Then Andrew Monaco takes over at 6 to bring you Fightin' Texas Aggie football. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
There's a Kubota for every job. There's a Kubota for every harvest. There's a Kubota for every task. And at Normandy Tractor, for a limited time only, take the drive to Normandy, Texas, and let Vernon and the boys show you what they have. Get the new Kubota BX 1880 16.6 horsepower tractor and a Kubota loader with a quick attach bucket now through December 31st, 2021. For a cash price of only $12,950 or payments as low as $170 per month. With no money down, based on 0% down, 1.99% APR for 84 months. Normandy Tractor has over 8 acres of Kubota tractors, Kubota RTVs, ATVs, and Kubota mowers to choose from. They're at the corner of Highway 39 and OSR in Normandy, Texas. And remember, nobody beats Normandy Tractor. Nobody.
Now through December 31st, 2021. For warranty terms, see Kubota's limited warranty at KubotaUSA.com or your Kubota dealer.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our Aggie broadcast sponsors, Park at Tradition's Exceptional Senior Living, First Financial Bank, and Cooper's Barbecue. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
The best is yet to come in College Station.
Chase Lane is in for a touchdown! Yes!
Head coach Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies are ready to rise to the top of the SEC.
Swing to Anias, he's in the end zone, a 6-yard reception.
Join us Saturday. The Kent State Golden Flashes visit College Station. Our coverage begins at 6 on your home for Aggies football.
Listen to Aggie football on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Online at radioaggieland.com or tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150.
Welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the BCSI hotline. Aaron Torres joining us. He's all over the place. Fox Sports Radio. He's got his own site now. He's dominating the airwaves. Good morning to you, Aaron.
Still working on him. Working on him.
Sorry about that. We just had him, and we lost him. So we'll get Aaron Torres here in a moment on TexAgs Radio. I guess that's why Dalton put his iPhone logo up there for me to kind of catch what was going on. We had Aaron a moment ago. We'll get him back here momentarily, and we will talk about the game coming up this weekend here at Kyle Field, as I am very excited about. And a couple things that I wanted to continue on with that is how the narrative will evolve as the season goes on. That narrative of Jimbo, that narrative of the Aggies, how that will change everything. And look, we're kind of like Clemson. Like, people have their opinions. I think Jimbo, if he were coaching somewhere else, somebody may have a different opinion, but because it's Texas A&M and there's certain schools that just don't like us, they're not going to change their opinion. But Jimbo's, without a doubt, one of the top 5 coaches in all of college football, and he should be paid for being one of the top 5 coaches in college football. And I understand, I get it, that people think, well, you had so much time left. But you know what? This is the world of college football we're in. Now we go to the BCSI hotline. We are joined by our good friend Aaron Torres, Fox Sports Podcast, you name it, everywhere. He's got his own website. What's going on, AT?
David, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Aaron Torres Online is the new site. He's doing good stuff. I saw that you wrote about our buddy here, Jimbo Fisher, being the highest paid coach, or one of the highest paid coaches in college football. Just your reaction to it when the news came down.
Well, David, I will be honest, without looking too much into it, I was, as you referenced, a little surprised that it was done so early in the contract. But, one thing, before you and I got to know each other when I used to come on TexAgs previously, I never had a problem with paying Jimbo Fisher. I mean, national championship winning coaches are worth their weight in gold. And you know who the number 2 guy is, or the number 3 guy is right behind Jimbo Fisher right now? It's Ed Orgeron, who doesn't have nearly the overall resume that Jimbo Fisher does. And so, listen, especially now, I understand 6, 7, 8 years ago when guys weren't getting paid, when there was no cost of attendance, when there was no NIL. I understand, the frustration of a coach getting paid $6, $7, $8 million a year. But listen, there's a reason they are. There's only one Nick Saban. There's only one Jimbo Fisher. There's only one Dabo Swinney. And so I'm with you. He's one of the top 5 highest paid, one of the top 5 coaches in this sport, and he should be paid as such. And right now the market dictates that somewhere between, $6.5 and $10 million. And so it sounds crazy to somebody that doesn't cover or follow college football on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, but he is worth every penny. And credit to A&M for continuing to lock him up for the very, very, very foreseeable future.
Well, let's pretend like we didn't know the exact amount where he ranked in the pecking order. Would coaches after 3 years who do really well and win an Orange Bowl and are in the conversation for the college football playoffs last year and this year as well get raises? That's kind of how it works. I think it's because people are like, but you're only adding 3 years to the original deal, and the original deal may have been long, but it got you your guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, didn't the original deal, though, wasn't it 10 years fully guaranteed, though? I mean, that's not a deal that comes around very often that I'm aware of. But I don't think the point is unfounded. And, and this has been another argument of mine for a long time, David, is I'm with you 100%, is that, I'm with you in the sense that Jimbo deserved it. But one of my other arguments has always been, I don't understand the extension after a 7-5 season with a bowl win. And, you can name a million of those, but the one that kind of struck me was, I remember when Butch Jones went to his first bowl game at Tennessee, and I forget if it was 7-5, 8-4, whatever. And he got an extension in April. And I'm like, who is trying to hire Butch Jones in April off of a 7-5 year? And so it's a great point by you. It's one thing to give a guy an extension because, you feel like he needs to have 5-6 years rolling on that contract, and you just do it for the sake of doing it. It's another thing to give it to a guy who is coming off a 9-1 season, has the infrastructure built to continue that not only this season, but for very many years into the future. So I think it's a totally valid point. I think it's a great point by you. is if we're going to give the Butch Joneses and Kevin Sumlins and Gus Malzahn's and, you fill in the other names, I can't think of them all off the top of my head, all these quirky extensions, I don't see any reason giving Jimbo Fisher one, given his overall track record, even dating back to his pre-A&M days. And frankly, also what is built for the future as well.
And I'll remind people, Dan Mullen, who I think is a really good coach, there's no doubt about that. He just got an extension after what I think was a bad end to last season. Only 8 wins. They were on top of the high horse for a long, long time, but the way that season ended, and people aren't batting an eye about Dan Mullen getting an extension. But we can move on to other topics out there. Thanks, Aaron. Haynes King. All right, he gets his start this weekend. I am so excited to see what he can do. Do you think they allow him to do his thing? Do they keep it conservative? What would you do if you're coaching Haynes King in his first start against Kent State?
Well, the first thing I do is I'd ask Jimbo Fisher because he has a much better track record of developing first-round quarterbacks than I do. But no, I mean, what would I do? I mean, listen, I wouldn't let the wheels off too much. I mean, this schedule is built, ironically, and I know schedules get built 10 years in advance, so it's not as though when A&M put together this schedule probably in 2012 or 2013, they knew they'd be breaking in a first-year quarterback. But, this schedule is designed to kind of ease Haynes King into it. And so, would I love to see him air it out? You have all that skill position talent. Of course I would. But, I think history tells us with Jimbo Fisher, they're going to rely a lot on Isaiah Spiller. They're going to rely a lot on the run game and rely a lot on the defense as well. So, what I just personally want to see is just frankly, command of the offense, command of the huddle. I'd love to see those wheels that we've heard so much about. And then really just let the other guys, let the vets that have been there, that have played in those big games against Alabama and Florida last year in College Station and the Orange Bowl, let those guys do what they do. You're right, David, in terms of you guys aren't only fascinated. I think those of us from a college football perspective, there's a lot of games to follow this weekend. There's a lot of games to pay attention to. But in terms of one that isn't kind of super on the radar, just how Haynes King looks as you get set for Colorado and all those other teams in coming weeks, that's going to be something worth keeping an eye on, even if you're not an Aggies fan.
Hey, so Aaron, I'm curious how you spend your Saturdays. I remember when I was doing national radio and we'd do a post-game or a post-games show at the end of the day, and we had all these monitors at the place I was working at, Yahoo Sports Radio, Sporting News Radio, and we had all the games on. How do you consume all your games on a Saturday?
Yeah, that's basically my setup is I'm at the house. Now, listen, I'm going to say something very controversial right now, okay? When I'm at the house, I actually prefer to have one TV and try to toggle between 2 or 3 games because I think with football, with the break in the action, and I know some teams play faster now than they have, I think you can consume a lot. I am not, as crazy as it sounds, I'm not a big 3-monitor kind of guy at the house because I feel like it's kind of like, the old saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. That's kind of what I feel like with the TVs. If I got 4 TVs going, am I really paying attention to any of them? And maybe there's a better setup. But, yeah, early in the day, I will, I'll kind of try to toggle between the 2 or 3 biggest games. I'll probably DVR a game that I know I'm not going to be able to watch live. That A&M game will probably be a good one for me to DVR to kind of just see what Haynes King does. And then I go into studio, and we'll be on air at 10 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll be on kind of, in the heart of that Clemson game. I'll probably go to the studio a little early so I don't miss a down of that game. And then, Fox Sports Radio, 600 stations, full reaction to everything that is going on. Once I get to the studio, we will have 3 or 4 monitors on, and I will be following that Clemson-Georgia game closely. LSU-UCLA, which is ironically literally 10 minutes from where I live. I won't be able to go because I'm going to be doing radio. But LSU, UCLA, obviously the A&M game, and whatever else is on. And then, by the way, David, let's never forget, we get Pac-12 After Dark this year. I mean, last year, right. Arnie Spanier and I, who were on the air, never forget the Pac-12 didn't come back until November. And so you prayed for a BYU game on a Saturday night because if there was no BYU, there was no West Coast football. So it's really fun. And, we have multiple monitors, and I'll be on air at 7. We'll have all the big games on. And we'll be reacting, and I know it's really fun being at the stadium, but it's also really fun, having those TVs on, like you said, those 3-4 monitors, and then 2, kind of being the first people to get to react to the big stories of the day, whatever they end up being on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so we got some games tonight to get excited. Like, now I feel like college football season's really here. I know we had games last weekend, but, like, now it's official. Let's talk about this Ohio State matchup. Intriguing that, obviously the quarterback situation there and just Ohio State being one of the better teams in the country. Just your thoughts heading into a Thursday night showdown with Minnesota.
Well, I think this is the first time, and maybe we saw it a little bit with Illinois and Nebraska the other day, but, home field advantage is back. And I was saying this today is we criticize the Big Ten for everything, and I think a lot of it's justified. There really isn't anybody outside of Ohio State that scares you. But for that league to do conference games, meaningful games on week 1, obviously Penn State, Wisconsin, Indiana, Iowa on Saturday as well, that's good on the league. And so, for Ohio State, again, it goes kind of what we were just talking about with Haynes King. You would love to have a MAC school, a Sun Belt school coming to town, and you kind of pummel them in week 1. C.J. Stroud's going on the road tonight against the Minnesota team that I'm really intrigued by because, you look at 2 years ago, they get the 11 wins. Last year, they were one of those programs that was just rocked by COVID. I mean, there was a couple games where they were down 20, 25 players. They go 3-4. They have a month-long break in between. But the final few weeks of the season, they played really well. And so they bring back a lot. They have that big offensive line. And, Ohio State's not scared of anybody. But in terms of a team that I think physically on the offensive side of the ball is not a terrible matchup for Ohio State, that's Minnesota. And so I'm just curious, does Ohio State get up so big so early that Minnesota has to deviate from their game plan? Because if they can run the ball and kind of control the clock a little bit, I think this could be an interesting game late, even if I do think Ohio State ultimately wins.
Aaron, I'm a big De'Aaron King fan. Saw the kid grow up at Manville High School and seen the pro he's become, and he's been in college, I feel like, for 25 years. He's got a tough one this weekend, just especially coming after – anytime you take on Alabama's tough. Yeah. But to come after the injury that he had at the end of last year, this is an intriguing matchup, although I don't think it'll be close.
David, I'm with you, man. And you're right. It does feel like a million years ago. I remember when, he opted out of the season. It literally feels like it was 30 years ago. But he opted out of the season, and Houston ends up with Miami. But anyway, I'm with you on this one. And I think that's a factor that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is, yes, De'Aaron King, he's this very dynamic player, and he's made a ton of headlines because he's taken advantage of name, image, likeness. So he's kind of been on our mind, and we think back to last year, how good he was. And you forget that, major ACL surgery, he came back way ahead of schedule, which is a credit to him and his work ethic. But it's a different deal going up against this Bama defense who finished, one of the top defenses in the SEC last year. And that's another variable here is, we think so much about Mac Jones and Najee Harris and the offense that they had. I think we forget that they were pretty good defensively as well. So I'm with you. I think Nick Saban eases Bryce Young into this thing. But I think they'll be able to lean on Miami. It sounds crazy because Miami's Miami, but Alabama just has a different caliber of player right now. And tough opener for De'Aaron King, as you said, coming off major knee surgery.
Hey, one last one for you. Clemson, Georgia, all offseason, we've been pointing at this game is finally here. And I know there's some injuries on the Georgia side, but do you find this game as intriguing as we did a couple months back?
Well, I do. I do, even with the injuries. It doesn't make me feel as good about Georgia. And, I actually really liked Georgia coming into this year, but the combination of the injuries and obviously Eric Gilbert being away from the team, and there's a number of variables, I do kind of lean Clemson in this one for that reason. I don't think by any means it puts, dirt on the grave of Georgia's season after 1 week if they were to lose this game. But to go into this game without your best red zone tight end, probably, frankly, your top 2 wide receivers, even though you haven't had George Pickens for a while, and a big cover corner. I mean, that's just a really tough ask against, one of the 2 or 3 programs in the country that has equal or greater talent than you. I was leaning Georgia all off season, but the injuries do kind of concern me. And so I'm going to lean Clemson here. And I'll tell you, man, I know you guys got a game to cover and you're excited to be in Aggie land there, but man, you just talk about a fun way to start the season. Georgia, Clemson, in their current iterations as programs, it doesn't really get much better than that.
Hey, what you got on the site right now?
Oh, I dropped a new podcast this morning, just trying to get some stuff up. I will officially drop my national title and playoff picks later on in the day, and then just get ready for some football, baby. Get ready for some football. So I'm really excited. We're all really excited, and it's just a great day, man. It's just a great, fun day, and I am so fired up that we got games here.
Aaron Torres on the BCSI hotline. Aaron, appreciate you. Catch up with you next week, my friend.
All right, David, thanks. Enjoy the game, Aggies.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Always breaking it down here on the program. We appreciate him. That is brought to you by Milliken Reserve. It is around college football, College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. Thanks so much to Aaron Torres for Around College Football, brought to you by Milliken Reserve. All right, guys, open segment, then the fan show, all next on TexAgs Radio.
You're listening to The Zone. Aggie Land's all sports station.
Maroon U is your ultimate stop for brand name apparel, gifts, and accessories for the entire family. From Columbia, 47 brand, Yeti, Dooney, Berg, and Adidas. We're able to outfit you for every occasion. Visit Maroon U and our family of companies on Hesiman Drive in College Station to shop the latest in brand name Aggie merchandise. Shop Maroon U today. Voted best in the Brazos best gift shop since 2016. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U.
Aggie football is here, and Texas A&M Transportation Services offers parking and shuttle options. Pay $25 cash to park near Bush Library, Bonfire Memorial, or Agronomy Road. Ride the free downtown Bryan shuttle. For pre- and post-game traffic and parking info, or to purchase parking before the game, visit Destination Aggieland within the TAMU app, download the Park Mobile app, or visit transport.tamu.edu/football.
For those parking with an annual permit, be ready to show us your permit barcode printed on paper or on your smartphone screen. Follow us on Twitter at @GetToAggieGame.
Hello, St. Joseph Eagles fans. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football throughout the season on KEDC 88.5 FM. St. Joseph Eagles football is brought to you this season by these local businesses: Jason Bainski Realtor, Lone Star Roof Systems, Law Office of Jeff Paradowski, Kraus Paint and Body, Wings and More, Blinn College, and Serve Pro of the Brazos Valley. Listen to St. Joseph Eagles football on KEDC 88.5 FM. Special thanks to all of our St. Joseph Eagle football sponsors.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is ESPN Radio. Joey Votto, we got that 2,000 hit tonight.
The more I play here, the more I realize how lucky I am.
Victor Cruz, Super Bowl champ.
I just wanted to feel special this morning, guys.
Charlotte Flair, the 13-time WWE champion.
Hey, guys. Alan Faneca, Hall of Fame class of 2021.
I've been waiting, let's do it.
Super Bowl champion Donald Driver.
I love the game. I watch the game more now than I did when I actually played.
Drew Bledsoe, Super Bowl champion.
Keyshawn, if I ever stopped yelling at you, then you would think I didn't care.
Terrence Bud Crawford, the WBO welterweight champion.
I just know in my heart that I can beat him.
Cowboys legend and now Hall of Fame wide receiver Drew Pearson.
But now that I'm in Canton, I don't even think I used the airplane to get here.
Justin Herbert, Los Angeles Chargers quarterback.
A lot of fun last year, but a lot more room to grow.
Lane Kiffin joins us, Ole Miss head coach.
A big part of my motivation was he, because he sent me pictures when I'm on TV of how fat I am.
ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.